Welcome to Journey to Joy Live from Times Square. I'm your host, Dr. N. Joy, and I have my child psychiatrist friends joining me today. We're having a great time at the 70th American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatrists annual meeting. So why don't you guys introduce yourselves? You go first.
Yes, hello. I am Dr. Ashley Marie Berry from Cincinnati Children's. I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist. I've been practicing now out of training for 3 years.
Yeah.
I'm the medical director of our partial hospitalization program, and I am the associate program director for our triple board program at Cincinnati Children's.
All right.
Super excited to be here.
Thank you for joining me. And you introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Dr. Aleema Zakers, and I do student health. And I also have my own company, Lakshmi Health and Wellness, where I do integrative medicine and mindfulness, integrating psych training with yoga.
Awesome. That sounds great. So we're going to have a good conversation today. Our topic is about joy. As you know, this is called Journey to Joy. So we talk about our journey to joy, other people's journey to joy. What does that even mean? What is joy? So the main topic today is joy a choice? Is it an emotion? Is it both? So let's just jump right in. What do you guys think? Can we choose to just be joyful?
We have two sides of the story, though.
That's a good point.
I think
that's a good point.
all think the same thing. It's a choice.
So I think it's both. I think it's both.
She has a different variation
So
of that.
I think you choose joy, and then it feels good when you choose it. So I think a choice becomes an emotion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I think you have to purposely find things in your life that bring you joy and balance.
Mm-hmm.
And then with that comes the feeling of joy.
Right.
And excitement and love and all of the things that you want in your life.
Right. Exactly.
So I think you have to choose to seek that out.
Choose to seek that out. Choose to enter that journey.
I don't think it's just there. I think you have to find it.
Yeah.
Sure. So I still don't think we have two different opinions.
Well, she agrees. We all agree.
Yeah.
But then there's some people that may not agree.
Maybe, I don't know why, but I know for my perspective, joy definitely is an emotion for sure that people can experience. But a lot of people have misery and despair and everything else. But part of that is because we have imprints when something is wrong so that it doesn't do it again. So it's an emotional imprint. Yeah. So it's easier to believe the negative stuff. It's easier to like have that emotional connection. But when something is happy, we don't have the same imprint because when we were like primitive human beings, we just cared about survival. So that in our primitive brain is saying, okay, don't do that. You might die, right?
Yeah.
So you have this imprint stamp on your brain, whereas the joy stuff, you're not going to die. You're not going to nothing else is going to happen. So we didn't need that mechanism primitively for our survival.
So in other words, it's actually harder to choose it and easier to just set into those negative emotions.
Set into it because we're hardwired to be primitive and just give into these things. But now that we have an evolved brain, we need to use our evolved brain. But if you have trauma, you automatically go to your primitive brain.
That's some good stuff.
And with therapy, you can transition back to your adaptive brain and use your adaptive functioning, but you can't use it when you're in your primitive brain.
Yeah.
You can't use it.
And that's why we have to actively make that choice to enter into that journey. And October is Depression Awareness Month. So as you're saying, if you are feeling that depression, and depression is more than an emotion. It's a disorder, right?
Yeah.
So if you're feeling that, it's easy to have those negative thoughts, negative dark thoughts, whatever it is that you might have. And it's harder to try to enter that journey to joy.
And it's a state of being, right? Like when you're depressed, it's like a cloud over you. And you're encompassed by even exciting things that would have made you excited or feel enjoyment. You no longer feel that, right? So you're doing the same things that you would have gotten enjoyment out of, whatever those activities are. Yeah. And you're no longer feeling that when you're depressed.
Not interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're not feeling joy even though you're doing the same exact thing.
But I think part of that is that the dopamine receptors are in the adaptive brain. They're not in the primitive lobes in the same way. So the dopamine is not responded to in the same way. So that reward system, you're not getting. You're not getting it.
Exactly. So you have to rewire that. And that's where we probably get into the fact that joy is a choice in that case, because if someone's depressed or in some type of state where they can't just become joyful, like, I'm going to choose to be happy. Be happy. Yay! That choice is the choice to choose therapy, the choice to do yoga or coping skills or medication if you need to, or whatever it is.
Right. But I also think that when you're in that low of a state, sometimes it's hard to see light or see a way out. And so that's where support, people around you make a difference. That's where, like, thinking back to when was I happy? What did that look like? What was I doing? What are the activities I was involved in? How can I get back to that place?
Yeah. And I tell people, don't sink into it. You start to feel bad, then you put on the bad songs, then you think about the bad stuff, then you nestle in and wallow in it, and then you just sink and slide right down the hill. Like, don't do that to yourself, because it's easy to get down, but it's harder to climb up that hill to get out of it. So when you're feeling down, don't like indulge in it. Be like, okay, I gotta work it, because it's easier to stop it at that point. It's way harder if you slide all the way into it.
I tell my patients all the time, negative thoughts, they work. They make you feel bad. Exactly. And positive thoughts work too.
Exactly.
Because I prescribe positive affirmations in the morning, at night, whatever.
And it's the subconscious messages that you tell yourself that can determine whether you think more positively or whether you think more negative.
But I think overnight it still doesn't work too, right?
No, not overnight.
The first day you don't believe it, but you just keep saying it. Just like those songs you hear that are crap songs. You know they're crap songs, but you hear it enough. You're like, oh, that's not too bad. And you start to sing it. It's the same thing with your thoughts. You convince yourself.
Exactly. And that's why it's a journey. It's not overnight. I mean, there's that rarity where I guess some people feel better overnight, but it's a journey.
Absolutely not. It's a choice every day that I have to like fight against this heaviness that I feel, because I want another way. I want to live another way. And it's that fight every day is what gets you to the other side. And it takes time.
And then at some point, it's no longer a fight. It's just your habit.
It's how you're used to coping skills or those breathing techniques.
That is true.
You're used to your routine for exercise or choosing healthy food. It becomes easy. It becomes a habit. Your new life.
It's harder to start something. It feels hard to start something, but it's harder to continuously do what keeps you in the space that keeps you out of depression.
But
so consistency is everything.
But if you can build that habit, I think that helps. But if you start to, it's easier to like slide into bad habits. Like, oh, I'll just do it one day. And then it was like, that didn't hurt. Maybe I can keep doing this.
And a year goes by. You're like, oh, I'm not doing that thing anymore. Easy to be complacent. My husband's in the background. He said it's easier to be complacent. Exactly. So you say that we all agree. What if somebody was here disagreeing? What would you say to them?
I think it's all about perceptions. We all have different experiences. We all have different cultures. We all have different, things that we've gone through. That it's okay to have a different perception or a different experience. I don't think that that joy is only an emotion or only
a choice.
That someone that has experienced it only as an emotion may feel that way, and they're rightfully so. But I think there's a full rounded picture of how you experience joy, and I think you have to choose it as much as you have to experience the emotion.
Very nice answer. I think I would just meet them where they are and then show them there's where you can improve. Because if you say it's just an emotion, you lose that control. And I think that's really important.
That's a good point.
Emotion kind of takes
I can't control my emotions because it's just how I feel. And that loss of control is also what tailspins people. So saying it's a choice gives them that control back, and then they can say, I'm choosing this. This is the life I want to lead. And they have that control back. Because there's so much when people just feel that they don't have control over anything, not even their emotions, especially kids.
Yeah.
That puberty is a beast.
Exactly.
It
I
is.
love
It
that.
is.
So
It
in other words, if it's a choice, you have more power over it. So
Yes, exactly. That is true.
that's
You
really
do.
good. So, I
You
mean,
do.
as we get into like, well, I love talking about self-care and how we can, use these things and coping skills on our journey. What are some good coping skills or
Say what I
activities?
do.
Exactly. I know you want to talk about it. What is it you want to talk about? Though?
Right? So actually, every morning I legit wake up at 5 a.m.
Wow.
and I do my yoga and my exercise, get myself together, have my alone time. Then I get the stuff ready for the kids' school, get their breakfast ready, all that. So I'm in my balance before I wake up the family. Then the family wakes up, they're chaos, but I'm balanced. So the whole house is now balanced.
Wow.
So that kind of creates that stability and we're moving. We're out the door.
Yeah.
You know your routines and we're getting it,
Yeah.
So if I have my balance, then the whole house kind of has that balance and equilibrium. So I make sure I do that.
Which is why you prioritize self-care.
Yeah. But even if I have to fold laundry in the morning and I have less time to work out, I still try to get 5 to
something in.
Yeah. I still get that. I still calm myself and balance, and then I can go through my day much better. And I feel like I'm a better mom for it, and I can be more patient.
Oh, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What about you?
So I think coping skills varies for different people, their lifestyles, what their family structure looks like. But I think once you figure out what brings you to peace, and that can look so different for different people.
Yeah.
So for me, being in nature makes me feel at peace. Being with the elements of water, or walking and hearing the sound of the birds, or the wind blowing, those are things that bring me back to peace. And I think it varies. Some people reading a book or listening to a calming song brings them to peace. Meditating or yoga may bring them to peace. Deep breathing may bring them to peace. Calling a friend may bring them to peace. So I think it's figuring out, I think it's knowing who you are and being aware and having insight about what brings you to peace. And that's what you use as your coping skill when you are feeling overwhelmed, when you're feeling down, when you're feeling like there's no point. You go back to that.
And when you practice it consistently, like we were saying, even if you are feeling well, when you are feeling well, it's an automatic thing. Let me do that thing.
Exactly.
And if you're not sure, well, what is that for me?
And it's almost like a prophylactic. It keeps you it keeps you out of getting back to that space because you're continuously doing that.
Right.
I like that you brought up nature and being in nature because there's a whole different vibe.
Yeah.
And that is embedded because that's our equilibrium. That's where we evolved from nature.
Right.
So that's going to have its own thing, but everyone doesn't have that ability. It's not practical.
Right.
But for sure, it's top notch.
Yeah.
But I think just being able to adapt and bring yourself balance, like you said, whatever way you can find, bringing yourself balance and having that calm within you is gonna show.
So how do we figure out what works for us?
You try different things. You literally try different things.
Yes, I agree. So it's just different shoes and different colors of shoes may not fit or may not look good on your feet. You literally you don't know until you try it.
It's true.
And so I think, a lot of people say, well, that doesn't work. But it's well, have you tried it to know that it doesn't work?
A lot of people say that's about deep breathing techniques.
Wrong. But okay, let me see it. Yes. Show me on the camera. I can't see it.
What do you do? How do you do it? How often?
Yes,
exactly.
But even just doing it, even if it's a brief time, it'll help because the problem with when you start hyperventilating, you're not getting oxygen to your brain. So you're never going to think properly, right? Because you don't have oxygen in your brain.
Right.
So you have to get that oxygen flowing back to your vital organs.
Right.
So that you can function in that moment. So but the best time to do it is before you actually start to hyperventilate, right? You're not going to be able to take that mindfulness and meditate when you're freaking out. You're already you're
Right.
already kind of far gone. So
Yeah.
you need something else, like a grounding technique after that,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
before, when you feel that feeling coming on, then you first identify when those feelings are coming on, when this is going to happen. Then you know when to use it.
Right.
And you can bring yourself back before you get like off the rails.
Mhm.
But yeah, belly breathing like a balloon, right? You breathe in, it's a balloon, you squeeze it out. But for some reason, people forget how to do it.
Yeah,
but
especially in that moment.
Yeah.
No,
And
just
going
in
back
general.
to
People breathing
primitive,
from
when you
their
think
chest.
about how we breathe as infants,
Yeah,
we belly
They
breathe
belly breathe.
as infants,
you
but we
look at
lose that capacity as we age.
They belly breathe.
So it's literally going back to what is my primitive way of breathing, and how can I utilize that to calm my body?
They're not gonna survive.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. This is all education that maybe you can find on Google, but maybe a therapist, maybe a psychiatrist is what someone can seek out to learn.
I don't know about Google.
No, that's but that's my point is that you might look it up on Google, but reaching a therapist may be what someone might need to learn these strategies.
I think someone who can connect the dots, adapt to you, adapt the therapy to you, tailor your treatment to you and what works in your life, that's what we do. That's what we do.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think a therapist brings on consistency. So if you think about the difference between trying to go to the gym on your own versus having a personal trainer,
but then they push you and push you,
right?
and they make you get up at 4 a.m.
That's what a therapist does, right?
They push you too.
Yeah,
and you're the one who has to do the work. Right.
It's a time and a place that you have to pay attention to this.
It's true.
And
it's
so,
true. Yeah, I have good boundaries, so I don't work harder than my patients do.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, boundaries.
I can say that. I struggle
to get them to an appointment and then
they don't come. Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes I care more. I mean, I care so much, and I see a positive ending and an outcome for a patient that I don't know that their families are always ready for. And it's hard to divorce the two, you know?
So in yoga, they like a fundamental principle is do your duty and don't get attached to the results. So do as much as you can, and whatever happens kind of happens. You don't have control over it. You really can't control someone else's behavior. So as long as I feel like I've done everything,
same with parenting.
As long as I feel like I've done everything I can, I'm fine with the results. I mean, I can't do it for you. You can decide to do this or not. That's fine. If you don't decide to do it, let's see what else we can do. Let's see where else I can meet you. Can we make a baby step at least? Can we think about it and then try to do it? You know, I mean, I can just do what I can do. I have no control over any of your actions whatsoever. You have to decide. Just like we were talking about joy, it's a decision that you make. You've decided I'm going to get better. And that's what happens.
And that's what boundaries.
You're not ready. And sometimes, especially when I'm dealing with trauma patients, how much of this are you ready to let go now? If you're not ready to let go of 100%, that's fine. Let's let go of the part you are. Then we'll go from there.
Yeah. And that works for the boundaries that we have as providers. That's what you're talking about. But also with family members, if you're trying to get to go to see someone or to get help. Sometimes you're doing more work than they are to get them there.
Oh, for sure.
You can only do so much.
That definitely is
part's
the truth.
Yes.
And I think it's a harder reality because it's like you know better, but you can't make them, you can bring them to the water, but you can't make them drink.
Yeah.
Right.
And so I think knowing that if they take those steps, how the outcome will be so different, it can be almost devastating and grieving for you as a provider to have to let that go. That may not be their outcome.
Right.
It's true. I think it's definitely harder for family than for patients.
Yes.
Because you have to live with the consequences as a family member.
And then they adopt that guilt. They feel like it's their fault that they don't get the help they needed.
But I mean, I think you also if they're in your family, you have to deal with the consequences of this non-functional human.
That's right.
But if they're your patient, you don't have to deal with the consequences. They do it or they don't.
Right.
That's on you, Clea.
Yeah.
Your kid or your spouse or your parent, you have to deal with those consequences, and you know they could get better if they try. Right. But now I'm picking up the slack because you don't do what you're supposed to do. So then it's like a push pull. I feel bad. I understand, but you can get better and you're choosing not to. I think that's where it can get hard, but I think that's for sure when you need to try to have that balance in that forgiving them for.
We hitting on a lot. This is great.
Forgiveness for like what they're choosing, accepting the reality and trying to like set limits.
Yeah. And those are the stages of breathing, you know, like accepting, you know, forgiving, like not being depressed about things that you can't control. You go through the anger phases. Like those are all the stages of grieving, but we as providers go through that as much as, you know, we see the outcomes for our patients, our family members, those that we love. And it can be difficult, but I think most important is the boundary and realizing I can't give to my patients what I don't have for myself.
Yeah, exactly.
And if I don't have
Your
that
family
joy,
if
I don't have that for myself, I cannot give that away.
Yeah, I think I get in trouble.
Goes back to self-care.
And I blame it on my Scorpio-ness, is that I tell people the truth. I mean, I don't try to be mean about it, but I'm not going to not say it, right? And that's like in my family, for my patients, this is the reality. You can choose to do it or you can't, or you won't do it. That's fine. But these are the consequences you're choosing. People don't like that. They like to blame other things. They like to blame other circumstances.
Externalizing.
You're right. Like yes, I'm reacting this way because of, and I don't have a choice in it. I don't have the control, but you can control what you do, you know? And so I think for me, I can't just sit around and like not hold my tongue. But I think that's where.
That's the way you say it.
Yeah. But people just don't like the truth a lot. I feel like that.
But accepting that truth, taking responsibility.
Patience. They don't like.
Oh, that's different. We're not even gonna go there. That's a whole nother episode. But yeah, I mean, accepting and taking responsibility for your actions or your downfalls or whatever, that's a part of that journey. Because you need to realize, well, what is it that I need to change? What is a part of my journey?
I think there's a part of self-preservation and not accepting some of the truth. Because I think that's letting go of everything that maybe you thought you were or what you thought you were doing. I think that that's a grief in itself. And sometimes people are not ready to do that.
It's like the pickle jar.
And so, like you said, meeting them where they are and realizing like, okay, they're not ready to take the next step.
Yeah.
But we still need to create this building of insight so that they understand that the emotions they're feeling are there for a reason.
Yeah.
And that we need to figure out what is the reason and they need to figure it out. I'm just going to guide them.
Yeah.
To help them figure that out.
And is this working for you or not?
Right.
It doesn't look like it's helping you.
Right. Right.
That's why they're there and seeing us.
Exactly.
It's not working.
Yeah.
It's not working.
So sometimes you have to say that.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like
what
it's
that is that you've been doing that hasn't been working.
So help me understand the place that we were when we started.
Something's got to change.
Help me understand what can make this change.
Yeah, but they don't know.
Yeah.
And so then you have to say, okay, these are options that we have. What is going to work for you? What is going to work for your lifestyle? What feels right for you? Like, what is something that you can do?
Yeah.
Yes, you can't do this. You can't do that. That's fine. What can you do? Tell me that.
Yes.
And then we'll start from there.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
Well, this has been a wonderful discussion about the journey to joy, depression, self-care, wellness, going and get therapy. I think this is good. We can
we can talk about this for hours.
Exactly. And the season doesn't sleep. Let's just stay all night.
Hours. Yes.
Well, thank you for those who are going to watch later. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. I'm on Spotify now, y'all.
Yeah.
So anyhow,
Subscribe and like.
exactly. Subscribe and like Facebook. Enjoy Life. What's my YouTube? Dr. Enjoy Life MD.
I am on Instagram. It's Dr._Ash Marie B. And I'm also on Facebook under Ashley Marie Berry. So
All right.
Health
please find me.
dash Lakshmi.
Say that one more time.
Health and then _ Lakshmi.
All right. Yeah, because dash and the underscore is different.
Yes.
Thank you
One
for
at the bottom.
joining me. I mean, you joined last minute. You joined just 2 days ago telling me. I told you about it.
Hey.
I appreciate you all.
Of course.